scents for the modern gentleman. So you want to get a fragrance that's sophisticated, elegant, more mature, serious. So there are quite a few fragrances that can do this. Specifically modern fragrances, of course there are many of the classics, I'll probably make another video about those, but modern fragrances. So I have a small list. I'm gonna start with one of my favorites. Kind of a more niche option, but this is a small sample, if you can see. A small sample of Pegasus by Perfume de Mali. So this is one of my favorite men's scents because it is probably one of the most elegant is the right word for this one, most elegant men's fragrances. It's also one of the most unique fragrances I've smelled. So the notes that it has, the main one here, bitter almond. Bitter almond is such a wonderful and unique note to have in a fragrance, especially a men's fragrance. I personally love the smell of crushed almonds. It's just something just nice. And besides the almonds, it's also mixed with some lavender, vanilla, sandalwood, amber, that sort of thing. You're primarily getting a light and powdery scent mixed with just a little hint of those heavier notes like the amber and things like that. Such a good fragrance. Definitely not your typical men's fragrance. It's not gonna blast the room with this show-off energy. Like I said, it's very elegant, kind of more subdued, more refined, mild, moderate longevity, probably 6 to 7 or 5 to 7 hours. And despite it being on the more moderate side, it's such a good fragrance. So, you don't have to show off. This is just a nice, mild sort of scent. Very, very sophisticated scent. And being from this particular brand, the Perfume de Mali, they're famous for being able to produce extremely high quality fragrances, like Leighton, for instance, which I reviewed previously. And Pegasus alone is just such a good example of their ability to craft really amazing scents. Then, because the problem with this is that it is very expensive. So if you want something else, another really good option is Dior Homme. So basically, if you just type in Dior Homme, you'll get the regular standard. It looks like this, regular standard fragrance. There are different options, like there's the intense one. But if you're just looking for something that's not too heavy, just the regular Dior Homme is a really good option. I really like the iris note that it adds a certain amount of powderiness to it, without really being feminine, or too sweet or anything. It's also mixed, it just has a very fresh and crisp approach to things. It's very, when you smell it, you kind of get this fresh linen, springtime sort of imagery. And I think that's a very nice kind of, it's more of a formal fragrance, I would say, definitely maybe for the office or going to a nice dinner, or you want to be more serious. This is a good serious option. Then the longevity for this, I would say, is pretty good despite being a light fragrance. It's probably 6 to 7 hours. Definitely a pretty good longevity there. Projection is moderate, it's not going to fill up the room, but people around you will notice what you're wearing. Then, if you want something really classic, really kind of tried and true, you can always go for Creed's Green Irish Tweed. So, thing about this, this has lemon verbena, iris, violet leaf, a little bit of some wood notes. This is very fresh, anything from Creed is the epitome of sophistication and elegance and just being refined, being well crafted. And this is no exception. This is kind of the fragrance for the sophisticated man. You really get that lemon verbena, that citrusy note, and then you get kind of the more muskiness of the ambergris note and the sandalwood. So you're mixing these very fresh notes with very kind of heavier musky notes. and that alone makes this a very unique scent. And it also gives it more longevity. This is probably a 7 to 8 hour scent. I would say the projection's still pretty moderate, but a bit more than average, definitely. And it's just a pleasant scent. Some people may not like the ambergris note because it is pretty musky, but if you don't mind that, that should be completely fine. Then, if you want something particularly heavy, then you can go for Dior Ambre Nuit, so Amber Night. This is unisex. This is actually one of my personal favorite fragrances, just in general. The thing about this, extremely warm, extremely velvety, smooth. It has some pink pepper thrown into it, just an amazing mix of notes. This is mostly an evening fragrance because it is so heavy, but you also get, it would also be good for cold weather, you know, autumn, winter. Being from Dior, it's automatically very, you know, very refined. But besides that, this is one of Dior's kind of upper shelf, top shelf formulations, which makes it more expensive than, for instance, Dior Homme, which I just talked about. But I would say the price is worth it because it's a super wonderful, it's a super unique fragrance. Really, I haven't smelled really anything that even smells remotely close to this. Definitely good if you want to stand out from the crowd because it is a much heavier fragrance. It has great longevity. I would say 9 hours or more. Projection is also stronger. Still not, you know, in your face, not show offy or anything. Good moderate projection. People can definitely detect this from a little while away. And just a good option for, you know, it's pretty versatile. Despite being as heavy as it is, it's quite versatile. Then the last one that I have, if you want something very fresh, you can go for Xerjoff 40 knots. This 40 knots obviously referring to traveling by boat, basically. This is a very aquatic, very fresh fragrance meant to, you know, kind of envision the yacht club, you know. This is, I mean, this is as fresh as you can get. It's also slightly powdery, but for the most part, you're getting something very, you know, crisp, very fresh. This is great for the summer, obviously. Great for even going to the beach, going to basically anywhere during the daytime. It doesn't really have the power for evening wear. Longevity is probably 5 to 6 hours, which is normal for a light fragrance like this. Projection's pretty good though for this light fragrance. And it is a very agreeable scent. Most people should like this because there's not any weird notes, you know, that would disturb anyone. And it's just pleasant. You know, if you want to freshen up, if it's hot outside, you want to freshen up and feel good, feel elegant, this is a really good option. And other than that, those are pretty much the best choices, in my opinion at least, for elegant, refined fragrances for the modern gentleman. Of course, there are many more. I could go on for quite a while, but I think these really showcase, you know, the different kind of approaches, different moods, different personalities, and different occasions that these fragrances would be good for. So, if you have any opinions or questions about these fragrances, you can always leave those down in the comment section below. If you liked the video, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.